the next one is also came about as a result of a citizen making an inquiry to me. It actually happened to be Karen Swope, and she was writing me because her husband saw a guest at the Smith Creek Inn tossing a whole collection of cigarette butts into the storm drain. And she and her husband were obviously very, very upset about it, and evidently went and, I won't say accosted, but certainly challenged the individual who acted surprised, said he hadn't really thought about what he was doing. And so Karen wanted permission to get Melissa at their signs to put a no butts sign with the statement drains to the creek on some of the storm drains. And I remembered when she said that I've been involved in a couple of projects in other communities where various nonprofit organizations will come and do stenciling on your storm drains. So I did contact the organization that is based in Roanoke that serves the whole Roanoke Valley to see, number one, if they'd be interested in sending people over to this area, number two, what the cost might be, and whether or not they had some designs that I could share with you all as possibilities. And they were very eager to be involved in the town, and so I've got several pictures here. That's a set.
It's a set.
They're set of two.
You did it. Thank you.
And we could certainly pick different colors to use, but in this case, it says no dumping, drains to the river. And we could certainly say drains to the, to the creek versus the river. But just the idea of reminding folks that what goes down those drains does in fact create pollution, and we know as town staff that we have to clean many of those storm drains because they get clogged, and then that contributes to the water runoff that we have on our streets if the storm drains are clogged. We actually don't have throughout the town all the places that we might want to put such signage, but I'm going to pass these out as a couple of examples of what our storm drains look like, and some of them certainly have enough room where you could create the actual stenciling. I'm not asking you to draw or paint it. Also have picture.
Most of our storm drains have that, they have a yellow painting over the top of them, or they just have something over them. So you could just put a stencil on there and just
Yeah, well, if you have, like this particular drain is the more typical one that you see in cities, where you actually have a pad here that is over top of it, and so there's more than adequate room to put a stencil with that kind of sign. But I've also shown you some pictures where that's not possible because of the way our storm drains are located. For example, this one probably doesn't have enough width to it for the stenciling, but it may be possible to ask for some smaller stenciling in some areas. And then there's some that are just right at the curb. You may remember this example. If you want to look at a really bad one right now, you need to go to the corner of Roxbury and Ridgeway, because evidently a big truck went over that storm drain and it was split. Oh yes, and that's going to be a very expensive thing for us to repair.
The truck, who's responsible for that?
Well, nobody saw it being done, but it had to be given the break.
Sort of like the
It had to be a heavy truck.
Yeah, I know, so it's got that one screen on it.
Yeah,
right there at the clock.
yeah, right there.
Well, while you're talking about that, another thing that would probably be a good idea is to form a public about cutting the grass and throwing the cuttings in the street.
Well, let me mention that because
That is a real heartburn. I mean, every time grass is cut going up down the heights, you end up going down on Prospect Walk. It's cluttered. There's no way you can get them.
Stops them up.
Well, that is a concern that was brought to me by a resident a while back, and I could find nothing, excuse me, in the state code that would allow us to
Police it.
police it, prohibit it. But interestingly, while I was away last week, I read that there was on the Covington City Council agenda a proposed ordinance that would create a violation if people have their grass cuttings going into the street. I immediately called Dave Davis and asked him to research it, to contact the Covington attorney to see on what basis they were able to do that. And if in fact Dave agrees that it is possible, we'll be bringing that kind of an ordinance forward to you all. But it's just not something that, in my years in local government in Virginia, that I've seen, it could be enforced. But certainly if it's something that has changed, we want to take advantage of it.
I've heard public announcements, like on the radio, talking about your grass clippings in the rivers and creeks takes away from the oxygen in the ecosystem and everything
And I
like
think
that.
certainly from an educational standpoint,
Right.
but to be able to actually enforce it, to.
Right. I don't know if something changed and that's why now they're doing these PSAs or what it is.
But I think there has to be some sort of monitoring system.
Certainly.
I mean, if the guy cuts my grass and he bags 99% of it, and 5% of it is up in the road, but if somebody's got their grass is 8 inches tall and they go through and chop it down, and then it's got the whole road covered, I can see where that'd be an issue.
Some places it's gonna be hard to do anything, I mean, you just can't mow without getting right. And
Well, then sweep it out. Has that ever been considered? If you're cutting the grass, and you throw it in the street, sweep it up, or get a blower, blow it into a pile.
Well, you don't have to throw it in the street. I mean, if you just run your mower
The other
right
way.
on the edge of the street, it blows that direction. It does in my driveway all the time.
And most people have blowers, you can blow the grass out of it.
and you can't bag it now and throw it away because, as I understand, public works on tape.
We don't pick up.
Sidewalk.
Bag
You
rate.
just have to run your mower down the sidewalk once and
So those were our 4 citizen-initiated items. Would like to find out if you all think you have interest in doing something with the storm drains in terms of getting some stenciling and stuff done. If you are, I'll go back to that group and get an actual cost for it, and we'll investigate and identify the locations where we want to put the signage in. It's a very nominal fee from what they have estimated to me, but obviously depending on what kind of stenciling we want, how large and stuff, that may vary. But they would send a crew over here to probably do all the stenciling in one day, and given the compactness of the town, I could see that being very.
What I see, I don't see people throwing stuff in the drains. What I see are the drains being clogged up by nature.
By nature.
Yeah, like at the end of church in Roxbury where they meet, that drain's always clogged up because that side of the road has just got probably at least 1.5 feet out into the road, stuff just falling off the trees.
yeah, people throw trash and plastic bottles on the side of the road and then just gets washed down to the road.
Yeah, but when I'm walking, I don't see a lot of trash being thrown along the sides of the police where I walk.
Brush, leaves.
It's the brush and leaves, it's nature that's filling up the drain. Huh?
Come walk where we
I was
live.
gonna say,
Okay,
the
well,
Carpio people
I
find.
must live in a better part of town.
Well, you must. This is the stencil that you showed, $22.
Yeah.
You use that one stencil. and all done.
Is that something we would do, public works, or?
My suggestion would be that let this nonprofit organization do
Oh,
it.
it's a
because they
nonprofit
have- Yeah,
organization.
they have volunteers. and-
Yeah, all in favor of that.
So, I mean, the only thing that the town would be responsible for, and would be a nominal cost, would be the cost of their supplies to actually do the stenciling, but they'd make the stencil up in advance of coming. And then send out their crews of volunteers to actually do the stenciling. And they estimate it would only take 1 day for them to come in and do as many as think they said they could do 30 in one day without any problem.
Hey, in the subject of natural debris, is anything planned regarding the debris that's underneath the bridge over by Solomon next to Masonic, tree branches and big pile of crud that's underneath there?
Underneath the Masonic, you mean that?
Alongside the bridge between Masonic and Sonnebank. Yeah, there's
Underneath.
quite a bit of debris buildup there, branches and whatnot. And whose responsibility, is that the town? I suppose that is our responsibility, huh? Or do we just let nature take care of it over the years?
Actually,
I think it's
the
pretty
way Virginia law generally is applied is that any body of water is divided in half into adjacent property owners. So whoever's adjacent to the property on one side versus the other. So where we have a lot of houses that back up to creeks in the town, and maybe a tree falls into it, that's private property to get to it, and then the body of water itself is privately owned by the adjacent
Well,
property.
it's underneath the street, so they don't know how you classify that.
Honestly, don't know. I have to check it, but yeah, there's a long-term plan to actually have the trail, the Smith Creek Trail, go under there, come out on the other side at the back of Masonic, and then continue to the trail that's being built right there adjacent to the School of the Arts. But because it would cost a body of water, we have to go to FEMA to meet all their regulations.
Yeah.
And they take a while.
That trail that runs by the School of Arts now and the bridge when is the repair on the bridge going to begin?
It's not going to begin until we complete the trail. And we've had lots of problems with the trail completion.
Because the signs are,
Yes.
but, yeah.
We will open the bridge up temporarily once the trail project that we've got going on right now is complete, until such time as we get ready to replace the bridge. And we will be going out for engineering services for the bridge replacement. We do have the money already in hand or approved through VDOT to replace the bridge, but we'll open it up for some period of time until we need to close it and put in the larger bridge. And we have lots of people asking me every day, when are you going to open the bridge?
They're asking me to, so I wanted an answer.
But that project is very behind because of the time that it took to get the railings actually fabricated, because they had to be fabricated according to VDOT standards. And there were lots of concern about the height of the railings, but because it is a bicycle trail in addition to being a walking trail, the height of the railing had to be higher. You had to meet federal standards, and when you use federal money, you have to.
You put railings on both sides?
No, it's just one side, but it's at a height that's higher than normal.
Yes.
Yeah. But they've been working on it again in the last several days, so I'm hoping that railing will be finished and then we can open the bridge in the next week or two. But I asked just this evening for an update on the schedule. We have to share this.
Speaking of drains, Dave, the woman told me that there's a drain right there at the theater from the debris, and it drains straight down, nothing of it, and goes right into y'all's, in the bottom of the theater or something causing a problem? Is it?
That's in the front by the
In the front.
bridge and.
Goes out to the street.
But she knows.
Okay.
Yeah, we do, but that's where they wanted to install it when they did the renovation. So the really bad part is when it gets cold and it freezes, that water.
What's it going to come down?
It doesn't go into the building.
Well, some of it does.
Oh, I went down going.
Yeah, and into one of the windows and onto the walls.
Then we put something underneath there to run away from the building?
They've had people look at it, I heard Jeff has had people look
Yeah,
at it.
it-
And
it
I
was
know that
engineered.
you two have been talking, the two of you have been talking, but I'll.
All right, Mr. Mayor, those were the public items that we had. When you're ready, I would suggest that you request a closed session.
So all of our topics that we discussed today came from the public. Basically, that's a wonderful.
I need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
No?
Okay, so we'll adjourn to your